Three important truths about exercising with arthritic painful knees. So the first and most important thing is the type of exercise that you select. We've had many clients over the years that have had different levels of severity in terms of their arthritis and pain and their ability level. So first off, you have to pick the right type of exercise based off what level of pain and function you have in your knees. So picking, like normally if we have clients that have really sore, painful knees and they struggle to do a lot, often we'll start with glute work. So we can do bridges where we have the feet on the floor, we're lifting the hips, strengthening the glute muscles, the butt muscles. We can do exercises like hip abductions where we're lifting the leg out to the side to get that side hip area. We've got lots of different variations of that. But sometimes starting with those and not even working too much around the actual knee joints yet, so that you can develop that strength, because the glutes help to stabilize the upper thigh bone when you walk upstairs, downstairs, squat into your car, do all sorts of movements. So they're very important to have strong. That's normally the first progression that we'll start. Normally we'll add some sort of glute work in anyway, but if someone's really in a lot of pain and they can't do much at all, that would be the start where I normally start them with. But then it will depend if they're able to squat, if they're able to step up and down off a very small step to begin with. That would be some other types of exercises that I would do with them. We definitely would avoid jumping, bouncing, any height impact movements that are just going to make things worse. And that's probably the mistake that most people make, is they go into a regular workout program or a class, even where there's other people that don't have any issues and they're able to do lots of exercises that are quite dynamic, and they end up doing exercises that aren't right for them. They end up sore, their knees get inflamed, and once they get inflamed, especially at the start, then it just unravels everything. So it's very important to be cautious at the start, build that strength slowly in the muscles surrounding the knees as well as the hips. The second thing is the difficulty level of the exercise needs to be progressed at an appropriate level. So if we talk about squats, where we're just squatting up and down, now how deep we go is going to make a big impact on that. So if you don't have a lot of strength and those deeper ranges are painful, then we're definitely going to avoid that. Sometimes we can even do an exercise where we just do a squat hold. We hold that position. We may even do an exercise, a level of the exercise where we, as an example, with a squat, we're using our entire body weight already, without even having to add any weights in our hands or on our shoulders. Sometimes your body weight might be too much for what your strength level is through those muscles. So sometimes we'll hold on to like a broomstick, couple of broomsticks in each hand, squatting up and down, or a resistance band hanging off something higher that will take a little bit of your weight as you hang on it. So there's lots of ways of regressing the exercises so you're not taking your full body weight, and that applies for lots of different types of exercises for the legs. So the appropriate difficulty level is the next important thing. And then the third thing is the technique. So you need to do the technique properly. A lot of people end up with sore knees from working out because they're doing it unsupervised and they're just not doing the technique correctly. So when we're doing, what doesn't matter whether it's really squats or lunges or step ups or any sort of common leg type exercise, if your weight is shifted too far into your toes and into the ball of the feet, it will put a lot of pressure through your knees, and the knee joints in particular will take a lot of the load and the stress. And as I mentioned earlier, when our knees get that extra bit of stress and they're already not perfect knees, they're going to get inflamed and angry, and then everything just unravels because you'll just do any basic movement and you'll feel pain. So I recommend to sit the weight back in your heels a little bit more, stick your bum out a little bit more when you're doing your squats, so that we're not putting too much weight forwards in our feet and putting it through the knees, but we're seating it back into our heels, which helps to activate our butt muscles, our glutes, which are also very important for those types of movements. So all up, it's the type of exercise that we do, the exercise that we select needs to be appropriate for your level, where you're at, your pain levels. Number two is we need to do the appropriate level of that exercise. Like as an example, squats, there's probably 50 or 100 variations that I could come up with off the top of my head of different ways of doing squats, and more challenging, less challenging ways. So you've got to pick the right variation of the exercise. And then thirdly, you've got to make sure you do it right, so you don't end up hurting yourself by improper technique.